slash distract you for a little bit. Today we are going to be going over 6 different tips to help with anxiety, which I feel like, if not everyone, most people deal with overthinking and anxiety. I think it's just a human emotion that is built in, but it seems like in today's world, in today's society, at least in America, I'll speak for, it seems to be higher than ever. It's one of the reasons why I started ASMR too. I really like to help people relax. I like to help people make their problems smaller, because our heads can make them seem so big. It's crazy how powerful our brains are. So, I figured I'd start the video with telling the story about my first anxiety attack. Before I even knew what that was, what a panic attack was, an anxiety attack, I pretty much associate them as two of the same, one of the same, whatever that saying is. But if you heard this story before, I apologize, and I won't make it too long. So, my whole life, my childhood, I was very blessed to be around friends. You know, it was a normal middle class family, but I was very blessed to always be around people. I'd always spend the night at my friend's house. We would never be out late because I was a kid, so like 10 o'clock to me was like the craziest time to be up, you know, it's super late. But still, I was always around people. So, I remember I went to go stay the night at my friend Dylan's house. I think at this time I was probably 13 years old. I think. I was definitely young. And, we were just inside a room. I forgot what we were doing, just hanging out. And we both fell asleep. He fell asleep on the floor in front of the TV. I fell asleep on the bed. I remember waking up at like 2 in the morning. 2 in the morning as a kid is like the Twilight Zone. So I remember waking up and the show Chowder was on. I don't know if anybody remembers that show. Comment down below if you remember Chowder. So, I've never seen this show before. Never, ever have seen this show. I wake up and it's on TV. And it's like actually pretty loud. And then I start feeling like this anxious feeling. Like I couldn't explain it besides that. And I'm trying to wake Dylan up, and he was fine. He's just a deep sleeper. And he wouldn't get up. I'm like shaking his shoulder. I'm like, Dylan, get up. Get up. Like I just needed to talk to somebody. I needed to like in my brain, I don't know why, but I was like freaking out. Every minute that passed by is getting worse. My heart's racing. I feel like I'm about to be like captured by something, or something's like, I don't even know. I cannot, even when it was happening, like connect it to anything. I just needed to go home. I really, really needed to go home. So Dylan wasn't waking up. So I was like, I need to get out of here. So I was in my neighborhood already, so I didn't need to go anywhere. I rode my bike over there. So that was a good thing. So I remember it was 1:30 or 2 in the morning. Again, Twilight Zone for a 12-year-old, 13-year-old. And I remember his parents' door was like cracked. And I thought I saw was so late. But I remember I was biking home in the pouring rain, and I was just like still freaking out, but I was relieved as soon as I left the house. Still a little bit freaked out. I get to my house in like 1 minute, and it's 2 in the morning. So I'm ringing the doorbell, I'm knocking, nobody's answering the door. And I'm like, okay, at the time our sliding glass door was broken in the back of the house. We don't live there anymore, otherwise I wouldn't say that. But it was broken in the back, so I was like, alright, I'm gonna go to the back. But we had leaned the couch against it to lock it, so I couldn't get in. And then I see my mom, because you can see the front door from the back sliding door. So I see my mom going to open the door, thinking that someone's at the door, you know. Probably scared the crap out of her. And then I started knocking on the sliding glass door, like, Mom, over here. And then as soon as she opened the door, it was like, phew, all my anxiety went away. And I started like explaining to her, like, I don't know what happened. I was like getting really scared and I wanted to go home. I mostly wanted to see my dad. I was like, I wanted, like, nothing against my mom, but I wanted to see my dad. I was so like, that's what my heart kept telling me, like, you gotta go to your dad. You gotta go see your dad right now. Something bad's gonna, like, I don't even know. But that's all I remember is like, deep down in me was like, I need to see my dad. And then from that point on, I would get anxiety other times. And it wasn't until like the 5th time it happened that it was explained to me that I was experiencing anxiety. And I've always been just like a happy kid, never really worried about anything. I mean, I've been through some stuff as a kid, you know, I can get into that in another video. But yeah. And I ended up struggling with it for a while. Pretty much the next like 10 years. These days I can go sleep anywhere. I can go anywhere. I don't really get anxiety. I do get it like from other things that life presented as I grew up. But I can, now the sleepover thing is not a problem. But I always want to know, how can I do something, you know, and there's a lot of good tips out there. So I know I just spent almost 9 minutes talking about that, going on 10 minutes. So I just want to share my first experience. If you want to share yours down below, or let me know how old you were the first time that you got an anxiety attack, or when you became aware of it. But I am doing a lot better now. I've experienced panic attacks, but very few and far between. But okay, let's get into these tips. First one is catch yourself. You can't stop overthinking if you don't realize you're doing it. And very often people don't. That's very true. If you can learn to recognize the physical sensation and anxiety symptoms that come with stress, which may manifest as tension in your back or a pit in your stomach, then you can work on halting that mental cause behind them. This is something I definitely did without even knowing this. It was like I was really trying to like take more control of what was going on. Not in the beginning, because I didn't even know that was possible. I just thought, okay, this is what's happening. I just need to go do this. But no, like sometimes you might have to go through it, but there are ways to slow it down, mitigate it, calm it down a little bit. Catching yourself is very good. Like if you are about to meet somebody new, right? That's a small anxiety. Could be a big one for some people. And you start for some reason it was at night, and then whenever I couldn't leave somewhere, that's why I didn't want to go on far trips with anybody but my family. If I was with my family, I could have went to China. It wouldn't mattered. If I'm with anybody else besides my family, that's when, if I feel like I cannot leave. So those are patterns that I learned at nighttime and when I can't leave, so checking for patterns is a very good tip. Observe rather than chastise. When you do notice that you're overthinking, recognize it, but be gentle with yourself. If you're having an anxiety attack, try to see what you're experiencing. Try to see that what you're experiencing is just thoughts. For instance, turn "I'm a bad parent" into "I notice I'm thinking I'm a bad parent." That's very good too. If you start seeing yourself spiraling, catch yourself. Same thing as the first one. Catch yourself, observe, and don't be hard on yourself. Life is definitely difficult. There's a lot of beautiful things. There's a lot of amazing things in this world and in this life. There are also some petrifying things in this life, terrifying things. But be easy with yourself, because those scary things can all of a sudden come up, or you can start thinking about everything that can go wrong and everything like that. Be nice to yourself. Be nice to yourself. Recognize thought traps. Getting stuck in thought traps, such as feeling like an imposter, can be problematic. Instead of catastrophizing, "I'm going to lose my job and never earn another dollar in my life," you should recognize it for what it is and use simple techniques to neutralize it. For example, if you get a letter from the IRS, take a breath before you open it rather than simply assume you're going to be audited. Read it a few times, set it aside. Ask your partner or a trusted friend to also read it before allowing yourself to react or respond. Recognize thought traps. Catastrophizing is what I used to do a lot. It took a lot of practice not to do it, but it's like, let's say you always fail a test. No matter what test it is, you're immediately gonna be like, "Oh man, I already know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna fail, and then I'm gonna..." No. You don't know what's gonna happen. If you did know what was gonna happen, then you would win the lottery every time, because you could just go get the numbers, or you would do whatever you want because you already know what's gonna happen, so there's no risk for anything, right? No, there's always gonna be a risk, as long as you're doing what you have to do, and you try to keep a positive energy and a good spirit, and you're good to yourself, and you try to be good to people around you. I truly believe that the world, the universe, God will open that up for you, depending on what you believe in. Set a deadline is the next tip. Overthinking is like a book with no periods, paragraphs, or chapters. It doesn't know when to stop. To do so, tell yourself, ideally out loud, "Just another 10 minutes," with the nurturing, not punishing tone of a parent. Even shorter set time for worrying, 2 minutes, and setting a timer for that designated period. I've never heard this tip before. So it's saying to set 10 minutes of just being kind to yourself, just like no matter what's happening, no matter if the world is burning, take 10 minutes to just appreciate you and your life and everything good, even if it's one thing. Let's say you only have one thing to be happy about, and for 10 minutes you just think about how much you love that thing or that person, and how blessed you are that it is yours, or you can be around it, or anything like that. And then spend 2 minutes worrying. And then I think that's smart, because 10 minutes of it's probably easier said than done. But if you can do 10 minutes, then the 2 minutes can be like, "No, I don't even want to do that anymore." Practice mindfulness. One of the most effective ways of combating anxiety is to practice mindfulness. Be present in the moment is like the five senses. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? And what's the feeling? And if you can't taste, what is the taste? So if you start going down into your senses and really focusing, that's you being mindful. And that's why it takes away anxiety, or at least calms it down. It's because now you're going into the brain and you're controlling the levers now. Instead of just letting it go crazy, you're smelling, you're tasting, you're seeing, touching. And that's all of them, right? Touch. So, and hearing. So you can see this gray mic. You can see my gray shirt, my white headphones, this white wall. You can hear my voice. You can smell your room, which smells great, by the way. I love the air freshener you use in here. You might be able to taste the water that you brought up before you watch this video, or maybe dinner is still. You didn't brush your teeth yet, that's kind of gross. But you know what I'm talking about. Mindfulness is very good because if you can just, it says 10 minutes a day, start with 1 minute. Next time you go to the beach, next time you're going for a walk, try to just not listen to anything except the sounds around you and listen to nature. Try to turn off the podcast, turn off the music just for 2 minutes, and then the rest of the walk, the rest of the hike, the rest of the workout, and listen to music the whole time. But next time you're in nature, just try to sit there and just be alone with yourself and just appreciating where you're at. Like, you're a human on Earth, which is pretty beautiful and pretty magical if you were to break it down. And I know that sounds like very like, but mindfulness is very good. Even just 1 minute a day. Going to the beach, sit there, just listen to the waves, watch the people walk past, and just try to be like as neutral as you can while also being grateful. Turn to tunes. Listening to a song you like is one of the best ways to move your mind along. Music taps a different part of the brain. She explains it's almost like part of the brain that's overthinking can't do that if you're really into music and your body is swaying to the music. I've heard that before. Is dancing and singing just gives you good vibes already. So next time you start feeling anxious, especially if you're by yourself, put on your favorite song and just dance in the mirror. Sometimes I dance in the mirror to make myself laugh because I can't dance for shit. It's pretty funny when I dance, but I mean, I'm alright, you know, I'm okay. But music is great. Put on something you love, something that gets you moving, something that's positive mostly, you know. If you listen to like Lana Del Rey, even though I like her music, you know, I know a lot of it's very like, I don't want to make, never mind. Exercise. Exercise is critically important for managing anxiety and worry. The very first thing I would encourage for somebody who's not doing well with worry and rumination is to exercise. It's one of the best medicines for everything in mental health. The exercise doesn't necessarily have to be strenuous or lengthy. Either yoga or stretching, for instance, can help you clear your mind and settle your racing thoughts. Exercising outside is even better. So again, I used to go on walks. Sometimes I just need to get out of the house. I also used to love to write poems or write songs. I used to love to just sit there and freestyle by myself, or go on GarageBand and make a song, make a beat or whatever. Just having, you know, go into your mind and use it. Because you noticed all these tips are you grabbing the steering wheel and doing something with your train of thought, which therefore slows it down. Because sometimes if you let the train of thought just go, sometimes it goes off the tracks and it goes to uncomfortable places, which is going to happen sometimes. We're human beings. But as long as you can catch it, for the most part, practice mindfulness comes up, it'll already have a wall. And every time you practice, the wall gets higher and higher. So now I can't get through as easy until eventually it'll be gone, at least for the most part. Challenge the thought repeatedly. Facing a fear head on can also help. If you're afraid of, say, elevators, a psychologist may encourage you to approach, enter, and eventually ride them until they're no longer threatening. You can do the same thing with thought, Pike says. I'm reading from an article from U.S. News, health.usnews.com. Proven strategies to stop overthinking and ease anxiety now. So challenge the thought. This is something I used to do a lot. Like, it would be like you're kind of talking to yourself, but excuse me, challenging the thought, going in there and be like, wait, no, like, no, like, no, I'm not gonna let myself do that. I'm not gonna let myself think like that. Boil the essence of the thought down to 10 words or less and repeat that thought over and over again until you get bored. Repeating, I bombed the interview is better than saying I said the wrong thing. The other applicants are better. My reference was poor. So challenge the thought. I don't know what his example really doesn't make sense. That's because your brain treats each new thought as an independent threat. Consolidating and repeating the worries allows your brain to check that box as non-threatening. So, okay, let's say like you embarrassed yourself or something bad happened. Instead of just going, oh my god, and I did this and I did that, I'm like, just be like, that didn't go well. Again, it's back to like beating yourself up. But if you can go into your mind, that's what all these tips are about, is like trying your best to go in there and, yeah, think about it. Literally think about it and challenge the thought, like, no, I'm not going to feel this way right now, or, you know what, no, that's not, challenge the thought. I've heard about this one, so this one is shock your senses. If being in your head doesn't feel good, be in your body. Try stimulating your senses. Smell some lavender oil. Do push-ups. Bite into a lemon, or even dunk your hand in an ice bucket. So one tip I heard is, if you're overthinking a lot, grab an ice cube and just put it in your hand and close your hand. Try it out next time. Just try it. Just see what happens. I've done it before and it did help, because it just has your body like, oh, we gotta focus on this. There's something very cool in your hand, Okay. Last one is limit media exposure. Whether it's social media, television, or radio news, or even just gossip from co-workers, unhelpful chatter can get in your head and ratchet up overall anxiety levels, often about things you have no control over. It's important to look at everyday triggers that worsen your anxiety, such as watching a lot of cable news. It doesn't matter which side you support. All media has been designed to hold your attention by making you engaged, emotionally charged, and anxious. Limit social media use to once per day and be thoughtful about your sources. I'll tell you what, I remember when I was going to Tennessee, I forgot why, I deleted my Instagram. Not my whole profile, but I deleted the app. And I remember I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get rid of it for 1 week. I'm just not gonna use it. And then after a week went by, I didn't even really realize. But I felt lighter. It's not like in my mind, I felt like less cluttered in my brain. So then I went to 2 weeks, 3 weeks, month. I think after a month and a week, I was like, alright, I'm just gonna re-download it to check my messages. recognize thought traps, set a deadline, practice mindfulness, turn to tunes, play some music, exercise, challenge the thought repeatedly. Then we listen to one more. Oh yeah, limit exposure to media. That includes social media. That includes the news, gossip. I like the anxiety. You are what you eat, or you are what you consume. If you eat bad food all the time, because I'm not perfect at all when it comes to diet. Trust me. If you eat bad all the time, your body will reflect that. If you're listening to stuff that's always about death and sadness, or cheating and scandal and mystery and murder, that's going, you're consuming that. So your brain's gonna, you are what you eat. So it's just something to keep in mind. But I do hope this video helped you guys. Please leave a comment down below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like. And thank you so much for watching. Much love.